Super Rugby AU round number 7. Waratahs put up a bit of a fight, whereas the Rebels, not so much. The Reds went down to Melbourne and gave them a bit of a hiding. But yeah, I'll go over the two games, some of the stats, some of the key moments, thoughts, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on how you thought things went. But like I said, encouraging at least for the Waratahs. We'll start with that game, 24 points to 22. The Brumbies start with a bit of a hiss and a roar, and then it's the Tars who end up coming back in the second half. They are one conversion away from forcing extra time in this one, but it is not to be. Banks gets the first try on 4 minutes, so it's 3 minutes something he scores the actual try. A bit of pace, great line that he runs. They miss the conversion and it's 5-0. Lolosio misses a couple of conversions, which in the scheme of this game actually could have been costly, but ends up not being so. Speaking of costly, Parecki knocks one on over the try line for the Tars on 11 minutes. It was a certain try, basically, but he just lost control of the ball as it was going over the whitewash. Pretty unfortunate. And then from there, I think the Waratahs had a moment where they kicked the ball dead not long later, so it went from bad to worse. Tom Wright on his return scored a try which was outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. No right to score the try. No right to score the try that he did, Tom Wright. That was unintentional. But yeah, he shouldn't have been able to score. It's like half a metre on the wing, and they show him the line, and he takes it, like thinking, you know, he'll have to be out, but he manages to get around. Unbelievable. I think it was Maddox that he went around. They missed the conversion again, but it's 10-0 to the Brumbies after about 15 minutes. The Waratahs did kick a penalty on 17 to make it 10-3. They missed one not long later, but then Douglas ended up looking like he got a try after a quick penalty, but I think it was it Johnson Holmes that got that one? Jake Gordon basically tapped it and went for the line, and he was just short. I initially in my notes put Douglas, but I think it was Harry Johnson Holmes that ended up getting it. And that all came from the Brumbies not taking a ball on their own 22, like a high ball. So kind of mistakes leads to tries, and it's 10 points apiece. Maybe this new look Waratah side after sacking their coach is going to be the business. But then virtually, like immediately later, Muirhead gets a try, and it's another one where my note is just too easy. They just shovel the ball left to him one phase after a line out, and he beats about 3 guys. They're just standing there looking at him. It's unbelievable. 17-10. To make matters worse, they score one from a maul. The Brumbies, they finally get a maul try through Faenga. 24 points to 10 at half time. So the Brumbies have clocked up all their points. If they keep going at that rate, they could get 48. But that's all the scoring they do. They finish with 57% territory, the Waratahs, and 57% possession, 63% territory. But the Brumbies' defence has been a lot better, close to 90% tackle rate, whereas the Waratahs are only just above the 70s. They're just at 80%. So yeah, defensively really poor. 42 minutes, the Brumbies get a yellow card warning, and then that's followed through with Cusack getting one on 45. Too many infringements from the Brumbies under a bit of pressure. Interestingly, 48 minutes, and if you watch the highlights, you wouldn't have seen anything until like the Will Harrison try, because they skipped the first 20 minutes of the second half in the highlights. Tom Wright almost went close. Well, he did go close. He almost went on for a try. TMO said there was no try for that one because he was in touch, but it was bloody close despite having a man down the Brumbies. 61 minutes, the Waratahs did go through a lot of phases. They couldn't score. They knocked it on. It was a bit of a story of the day, to be fair. Harrison, though, eventually on 65 minutes did go over for the try. They charged down a Brumbies box kick, and you could see what it meant to the guys there. They were just elated, ecstatic, to score that try. 17-24. Suddenly it's game on. 74 minutes, the Brumbies get another yellow card, but then the Waratahs concede a turnover at the maul. It's looking like the Brumbies will give them a chance, and then the Waratahs will find a way to muck it up. 78 minutes, the Waratahs went close again, but knocked it on. And then on 80, it looks like the Tars have been turned over on the Brumbies line, but they check it. The TMO has a look for some foul play, and Cusac's in there with the guiltiest look you will ever see at the breakdown. Sure enough, he gets a second yellow, which means it's a red for him. The Waratahs go the scrum. They get it out to the left wing, and it's Ram who goes over pretty well. Extra men galore for the Waratahs, so they should. Harrison, who's been really good goal kicking all season, pushes the conversion wide. So the Waratahs lose it. They do get a losing bonus point, which is a first for this campaign. But yeah, it's still a loss. But they'll be gutted how many times they blew chances. And what the heck's going on with the Brumbies, man? They're supposed to be trying to keep up with the Reds, not almost lose to the bottom team. It's unbelievable. Run meters finished 450 to 322. That's to the Tars. 62% possession, 67% territory. That's the Tars. They beat more defenders 25 to 21, although you'd say the Brumbies had a better success rate given how much ball they had. Clean breaks is 9 to 8, which is also pretty even. Remember, the Tars had a lot more ball. There's a few weird moments where like the Brumbies set a maul and the Tars just don't engage. But the Brumbies are smart enough not to take the ball to the back of the maul because then they'd be kind of obstructing the ball carrier. So then they just kind of truck forward with the ball carrier keeping the ball right at the front. As soon as the Tars guys engage, they check it to the back and start mauling. Tars got wise to it at one point. I forget which player flew in to the as yet kind of unstarted maul. And just took out their legs. It was bizarre stuff. None of that's in the highlights. You have to watch the game. But interesting one. Newsom has 1 tackle made, 5 missed. That's pretty poor. That's kind of the story of the day for the Tars. That's where it let them down. Their tackling percentage was 81%, which is not that great, whereas the Brumbies are 86. I know it doesn't seem like much difference, but good teams go near the 90s, bad teams go near the 70s. It just seems to be how it goes. Banks has 119 run meters and 7 defenders beaten. Solid effort. The Brumbies are still in second, 5 from 1. The Tars are still in fifth, none from sixth. Waratahs go on the bye next. And the Brumbies have chance to make amends against the Reds, although it's in Queensland. So it'll be a pretty tough one for them. Especially when you look at the second game, the Rebels against the Reds. In Melbourne, it was a good chance for the Rebels to prove they are also a title contender, maybe. No, not on this performance. 44 points to 19 is a bit of a hiding and a half at home for the Rebels. It started pretty badly, you would have to say. Some of the timings of these scores for the Reds are pretty quick. A maul try, Paenga-Mosa goes close, but Tupou goes over next phase. 7-0 on 2 minutes. Or 3 for the Reds. 7-0. Paisami gets an intercept. Hodge throws the pass. It's a pretty poor one. 14-0 by 6 minutes or 5 minutes. They kick a penalty. 17-0 on 11 minutes. And then Tupou goes over again on 17. James O'Connor with the line break. And the dive over from Tupou is trying to do his best Chris Ashton impersonation, but he is a tight head prop. So it's a look, and it's 24-0. We're not even at 24 minutes, scoring faster than a point a minute. It's pretty bad stuff from the Rebels. The Rebels do manage to build some pressure, but the Reds win turnovers. Eventually, Lamani, who's probably the Rebels' man of the match, gets a try on half an hour. It was coming, and he's got some gas. Even though he's a halfback, he was playing wing, and 24-7 is the score there. And then Hodge gets one. They had to check the grounding. It was Lamani again with the line break. He's kind of involved in a lot of the good stuff for the Rebels. But the TMO gives it. He sidestepped McDermott, Lamani, so it made him look a wee bit silly. 24-14 at halftime. But the fact that you let a 24-0 lead in, you're already playing huge catch-up. The Reds had 54% possession, 53% territory at halftime. Yeah. Was not looking the best for the Rebs. Tamua gets a penalty chance early on in the second half, but he misses it. It was a pretty straightforward one, so again, pretty disappointing. And then there's another intercept gift on a plate to the Reds, man. McCrate's the guy who gets the try on 46, but it was Jock Campbell who got the intercept. He went close, but next phase it was McCrate that went over. I think McDermott's the guy who got the ball up that ruck real quick, and 31-14 penalty from 40 metres makes it 34-14. The Rebels get a yellow card warning. But yeah, the Reds are pretty much unstoppable from that zone. It's probably lucky they scored a try, otherwise there might have been a yellow card. It's from their scrum, the Reds, they get advantage. James O'Connor gives it to Campbell, who goes over on 63. Yeah, it started to look real ugly at that point. 66 minutes though, the Rebels score what's maybe their best try of the match. A heap of great hands in the build-up. Wells is the guy who finishes it off, but yeah, Lamani had another line break. Korobedi ended up getting it, and Wells is the guy who finished it off out on the wing. So Lamani, maybe he should be playing wing because he's involved in everything. Salt in the wound for the Rebels is that Fluke gets one right before full-time. Hodge bubbles a high ball in their own end goal, and Fluke's able to tap it down. They did TMO it, and they said there was no knock-on in the build-up, so 44 points to 19. Now, I mean, you could say, intercept try, or try that was, one phase after an intercept, high ball, bobble, so there's like 3 tries that the Rebels maybe don't concede on other days, but still, 44-19, man. Run meters 404 to 383. The Rebels actually have more positions, 50-50. Territories 51-49, so pretty tight. Clean breaks 10-9, pretty tight. Defenders beaten 21-18, so the Rebels edge it. That's what I mean. If you take out those silly mistakes from the Red side, maybe it's a much tighter game, but you can't just make a magic wand and do that kind of thing, right? It's showing a bit of mental edge. Turnovers conceded as 17 to the Rebels, 9 by the Reds, so not looking after their own Pele, and a few of those are intercepts. The Reds kicking 35 times to 23, so they're able to really control the game well. Lamani finishes with 63 run meters, 3 clean breaks, and 3 defenders beaten. Paisami has 123 run meters, 60 of them for an intercept try, 3 clean breaks, and 4 defenders beaten. Reds are still really trucking along. Crusaders have dropped a game in Aotearoa. Reds have not done so in AU as yet. They are 6-0. In first, the Rebels are third, 2-3. Yeah. The Reds host the Brumbies next, which should decide who finishes first. And by all accounts, it's going to be the Reds at the moment. And the Rebels will host the Force. So they need to get back on track with that one. But yeah, you guys let me know what your thoughts were. Is this the start of a resurgence for the Waratahs, or did the Brumbies just have an off day? Can you see the Brumbies doing anything based on that against the Reds next week away in Queensland? And is there any chance for the Rebels if they can, not have so many kind of hand-in-heads moments, or do you think the Reds are just too good? Anyway, you guys have any thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.